F1 on ITV, sponsored by LG.
Good afternoon from the harbour in Monte Carlo. This might not be the most expensive boat in the place, but it will do just fine. Hop aboard with ITV F1 to enjoy one of the great sporting spectacles. It's race day at the Monaco Grand Prix. The tiny principality on the Côte d'Azur has witnessed some magnificent head-to-head confrontations since the first Grand Prix back in 1929. Stand by for two young chargers playing for very high stakes.
4.5 tenths faster than Webber. This is a superlative lap from Fernando Alonso. Here he comes across the line. Is this provisional pole? Oh yes, it certainly is. What a super lap.
Raikkonen absolutely on it and about to spoil Alonso's party.
Across the line he goes, almost half a second faster than Fernando Alonso. That is amazing. That says, hey mate, you're not going to run away in this World Championship.
Thumbs up, third successive pole for Kimi Raikkonen. It's a lovely, warm, dry Mediterranean day, 23 degrees the temperature, and lots of British fans are here lapping it all up. I've moved up in the world to our superb rooftop perch. We will give you details of this morning's qualifying too very shortly. First, let's welcome Mark and Tony, and let's talk about Juan Pablo Montoya, winner here a couple of years ago, but late in practice yesterday morning, caused an accident, say the stewards, and Juan Pablo starts from way down the back of the grid. You picked it out. You're not surprised about that, are you?
I'm not surprised at all. I mean, he's got penalised because of his actions, and the bottom line on this is you cannot brake test, you cannot lift off the throttle in a Formula 1 car in close proximity to another car because, you know, there's 1G de-acceleration. You cause a slow up at the front of a pack and two guys are behind and they collect each other and they're basically penalised in their qualifying. Somebody has to pay for it, and I think Montoya's at fault.
Any doubt in your mind, Tony, that Juan Pablo caused that accident?
No doubt whatsoever. I mean, apart from the bad blood between him and Ralf Schumacher, he felt his lap was being spoilt when the two came out of the pits. As you can see in a minute out there's Ralf Schumacher, David Coulthard, and Coulthard pulls out from behind the two, having been slowed by Ralf. There is Villeneuve coming up the hill, blind over Massenet there, 170 miles per hour, nowhere to go. He crunches down the inside. 3 cars taken out, extremely dangerous, lucky no one's hurt. And Juan Pablo Montoya goes back to the pits unscathed.
You've driven here many times. Here, of all places, to do something like that, it's almost unforgivable, isn't it?
It is really, yeah. I mean, you know, you're driving in the confines of these streets of Monte Carlo, the barriers are there, there's no margin for error whatsoever. And if you get somebody who slows up, where do you go? The only place you can go is against a barrier or another car, like we saw.
Jacques Villeneuve, in fact, saying that Juan Pablo Montoya could have killed him. Fierce reaction up and down the paddock. Let's gauge it now, starting with David Coulthard.
Ralph moved over, Juan past him, and then decided to slow down and play silly buggers. As I understand it, at that point in the track, the lap before, he was doing over 200 kilometres an hour, and on that particular lap, when the incident happened, he was doing 85 kilometres an hour. He quite clearly slowed down to wave to Ralph and tell him he wasn't happy, or brake test him, whatever you want to call it. And the result was that 3 cars crashed in a very dangerous part of the track, on a very dangerous track. So I think he's got off lightly.
I'm really disappointed that actually there's any action actually taken against that. I was going up the hill, as probably everybody knows. I nearly actually Ralph cut in front of me and nearly hit me. And actually, when he moved out, I moved in front of him. But the only reason I moved in front of him is to let Villeneuve behind, because the team actually informed me Villeneuve was right behind me as I started the lap. And the people assume I did a brake test. But the only real reason I move off is to avoid an accident, not to create one. And if you really look at it, the only person that really moved off and created the accident was Coulthard.
He did the same thing on the day before. He held me up as well on the day before by slowing down. So he knew that it was dangerous to do that.
We have the GPDA meetings, of which he now doesn't attend, where all the drivers are there, and our primary concern is of safety, because we'll go and thrash each other on the track as you would expect in racing, but we want to do it in a safe environment, and when you do things like that, it's just mindless.
The GPDA, the Grand Prix Drivers Association, Montoya protesting his innocence, but he starts towards the back of the grid. Right, let's complete the qualifying picture for you. By the way, it seems that next weekend at the European Grand Prix, we will revert to just one qualifying session on the Saturday. Thank goodness for that. Overnight here, though, Raikkonen holding a massive advantage of close to half a second.
Well, single lap qualifying at Monaco is always tricky. The track always gets faster over the course of the hour, and that was bad news for the Ferraris of Schumacher and Barrichello. They could find no grip, and they're literally nowhere. But what about Alonso and Raikkonen? I mean, championship performances from both.
Absolutely stunning. Alonso went out and blew the field away with a lap that looked unassailable. Raikkonen, who was already on his out lap as Alonso did that quick one, put in an absolute stunner, the lap of the year without any doubt so far, to take a comfortable provisional pole position with a good margin to carry some extra fuel. And all of that done on a slightly dirty track and a long wait before they had to deliver because of Ralf Schumacher's accident.
Yeah, Ralf Schumacher, a strange one for him, going into the back corner, just kissing the Armco barrier on the left-hand side, perhaps thinking already about the corner afterwards, but putting oil and water on the racing line. He was quite calm about it afterwards, though.
I always had a bit of understeer there, so that's why I this time decided to turn in a little bit sharper. And, well, unfortunately, this time the car did turn in more than I expected. I mean, it was only by a couple of centimeters anyway, but it just was enough to touch the barrier.
Did it hurt?
Not really. I mean, it was obviously not very nice. Could have done something else on a Saturday afternoon, but that's the way it is.
After his accident in first qualifying yesterday, Ralf Schumacher just did an installation lap to make sure the car working, but set no time. Montoya also a spectator.
Yes, banished to the back of the grid for causing an accident. No point in wasting the engine and tyres. Michael Schumacher desperately trying to hang on to that Ferrari, struggling for pace, but at least he would move up, quite crucially maybe later on this afternoon, from P11 up to 8th. But no fundamental speed in that Ferrari, unfortunately.
Watch out for him in the race. They do have a better race pace than qualifying pace. David Coulthard, 8th after the first qualifying session. He was promoted to 7th because of Montoya moving to the back. He basically held station with this lap, but nevertheless, he looks to have a good car under him for this weekend.
Yes, it's well balanced. Seems to have a good ultimate pace with or without fuel. So Coulthard knows his way around this racetrack very well indeed. Jarno Trulli, the first man to come out and really attack and try to move forward.
Yeah, badly compromised yesterday by dirt on the track after his teammate's accident. Much more aggressive today. Trulli moving up from 7th to 5th on the grid and making himself a contender.
It was a hot lap, got a bit scary in places, but it worked out in the end for Jarno Trulli. Fisichella, another man who could claim the scalp of Mark Webber, but didn't really quite turn it on.
Yeah, that was his target, only a couple of tenths, and even Webber himself thought he was going to be vulnerable to an attack from Fisichella, but well, it just didn't come. The two setting almost identical lap times, and Fisichella will start behind Webber on the grid.
Yes, and how is his head really? Alonso, his teammate, going so well that it must be affecting Fisichella. Webber, though, the single lap specialist at the moment, and he really did put one together to maintain a very solid third position on the grid, and we believe that car has more durable tyres than anybody else on the grid. He could be looking good this afternoon.
It's going to be interesting, though. They haven't quite got the race pace of the others, so we'll see what happens there. But Fernando Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen really in a league of their own this weekend. The two young pretenders to Michael Schumacher's crown, really going for it. A classic duel between the two of them across both qualifying sessions. And how close did Alonso come to snatching pole?
Well, he must have imagined that McLaren would go heavier with the McLaren, so he really put one down, the fastest man by a long way, and Raikkonen had to respond, and it was oh so close. It wasn't, he said, the most committed lap. It was a cautious one, by Raikkonen's standards, but it was just good enough.
Certainly was, but the fuel load could make a difference at the start. Watch the drag down to the first corner. Watch the duel between the two of them over 78 laps. It's going to be absolutely stunning.
A hat-trick of pole positions for Kimi Raikkonen.
There's different compounds within the Michelin family, so be a good old scrap today, and if we can get both Williams home in good solid points, that'd be good for us today.
It will be close. Unfortunately, this is a race that is difficult to overtake or nearly impossible, and the strategy will play will be very important here.
We had very good place to start the second qualifying, and also my lap was not. I didn't need to push 100%, so I think so. We're in a good, strong position.
Just over 2 miles for Raikkonen to show us why he's worthy of pole position. Down into Sandebod, 170 miles an hour, down to just 70. What a measured approach. He's got a half a second in his pocket from qualifying to the tunnel, then over 165 through the right-hand kink, edging the car to the left-hand side into the daylight. Raikkonen straightens it up over the line. He's got an hour and 40 minutes of this afternoon.
Head-to-head contest between F1's hot shots and the most exacting challenge of the year, Monte Carlo, and Kimi's half-second pole gap reduced to just 1/10 by second-place Alonso. Mark Webber third, extending the gap over fourth-place Fisichella. Fifth, Trulli in the Toyota. Sixth, Heidfeld, well beaten by Williams' teammate. Seventh, a sterling performance from Coulthard. And eighth, improving 4 places, Schumacher's Ferrari. Ninth, Villeneuve. 10th, birthday boy Barrichello in the other struggling Ferrari. 11th, Massa. 12th, Red Bull Racing's Liuzzi. Friesacker hurled his Minardi round to 13th, and Albers in 14th helped keep Minardi ahead of Jordan's for the first time this year. Rookies Montero and Kartikeyan, after an engine change, slid to 15th and 16th. Ralf Schumacher didn't set any time after his big qualifying crash. Juan Pablo Montoya had all his times removed for causing an avoidable accident.
Around about 45 minutes to go to the start of the Monaco Grand Prix. 14 winners of the last 20 from the first couple of rows. And up there is Mark Webber in the Williams. Could he be a bit of a roadblock, do you think, this afternoon?
Quite possible, because the Williams has not been that good on race pace. The other situation with Mark is he's been under pressure a couple of times this season, and he's faltered slightly. He's desperately in need of a podium, and Williams need the points.
Absolutely, Williams needs something desperately here, don't they? What about David Coulthard? He knows the streets well, as the driver's going round on the parade there. DC, he's won here a couple of times, and he must be in with a good chance of harvesting a few points here, Tony.
I think he has. Mark and I were talking earlier about, this place, because of the confined environment that it is, the compression, it can cause dramas like the crashes we've seen yesterday, the crashes we saw in the tunnel last year. In 66, just 4 cars finished, and 96, for example, just 7 finished, and the winner, Panis, came from 14th on the grid. That could happen. We just never know, and Coulthard could win it.
Well, you never know. We'll have a look back at last year's race. It was an absolute thriller in a few minutes' time. Well, we've missed him. He hasn't been around too much. He's obviously feeling the strains of life away from Formula One. It's EJ. Eddie, look at that. How laid back can you get? Wake up, Eddie. You're on live.
I tell you what, Jim, this is how most people dream of watching the Monaco Grand Prix. Beautiful boat, glass of something chilled in your hand. Are you enjoying this, Eddie, or are you actually finding it a bit frustrating?
Well, there is, of course, an element of frustration. I should feel that I should be in the pits right this moment, but, I've always wondered what is on the other side, and now I see. I mean, I quite like it, but my heart, my soul, my passion, I want to be on the pit lane at this moment, making the last adjustments or talking to the drivers. This is a very intense moment for everybody.
So you're suffering withdrawal symptoms then? You're missing us?
I'm always missing you, Louise. Not that Jim Rosenthal, but I'm always missing you. And no, I'm relaxed. I feel very comfortable. I'm very pleased that I've taken the decision that I did. But who knows what will happen in the future. I've obviously yearned for Formula One, but I did need, after 35 years, I needed a break, mentally apart from anything else.
At least you're relaxed. Were you down there in the pit lane? I know you. You would be going crazy now and driving everybody else crazy as well.
Louise, please, don't give away our innermost secrets. Everybody knows I'm a complete oik and that I go mental before a race. But, that's part of the drive. That's the adrenaline. That's the same as any big rock star or any group going on stage. It's always just before it starts. When it starts, that dissipates. What happens now is that people are tense. They're very anxious. Have they made the right decision? What's going to happen during the race? How can we plan a better strategy? Can we change things? All of these things are rushing through your head. Once the race starts, it's out of your hands. So this is the most crucial time for any team principal, any manager. I don't envy them.
lie back and enjoy yourself.
The old F1 boss clicked in there, didn't it? He might not be missing me, but his team are certainly missing him. The Jordan's slower than the Minardis so far here in Monte Carlo. Just 18 on the grid then. Jenson Button and Takuma Sato both out. BAR completing their punishment for breaking the rules at Imola. You know, it's the first time in 25 years we haven't had an Englishman in the Monaco Grand Prix. But I'm delighted to say Jenson will be with us in the commentary box. He's talking now to Ted.
Yeah, down here with BAR star and part-time ITV commentator. This is going to be good, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm actually more nervous than if I was racing here, I think. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be nice watching a whole race as well.
Do you think you might be able to learn anything about your rivals and how they race and their weak points?
It was good. I was watching practice yesterday. It's the first time I've watched 2 practice sessions and not been involved. So it's nice to see what sort of tests they're doing and timing comparisons and tyre testing and stuff. So it was really useful, and I think it's good for us to have a weekend off now and again.
Did you see Montoya's brake test that he did on Ralph and DC?
It didn't look like it was done on purpose. You know, it looked like he was just cooling the tyres a little bit and the brakes. But yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare, wasn't it?
A very diplomatic answer, Jensen. We look forward to more of the same in the commentary.
Maybe not.
No, we don't. We don't do bland. We want outspoken comments from Jenson Button. Judge his performance in the commentary box when he joins Martin and James there in, 40 minutes' time. OK, it is competition time now. Details coming up. It is a very, very unusual prize as well.
It's a long way from the beautiful people of the French Riviera to the streets of South London, but artist Jill Bradley has brought those worlds closer together with an exhibition of F1 portraits. Taking the works of the old masters as inspiration, Jill has persuaded some of the sport's heaviest hitters to pose for oil paintings due to be auctioned off for charity at the British Grand Prix in Silverstone.
Well, my concept for this whole project stemmed from these very famous iconic paintings or sculptures. I show them the original reference because I'm trying to get a body position or a facial position. Thank you. That's a great facial expression. It's just what I wanted. A photographic sitting can last 10, 15 minutes, no more. And sometimes they really engage with the project and the idea and the atmosphere of the sitting, and they'll stay a little bit longer and find out more and actually have a chat about it. The first 5 or 10 shots, it's normally a blank. There's nothing there, and then it starts to, as they warm up, I sort of see what I'm looking for, and 9 times out of 10 it's worked 100%. David was great. Obviously he's got chiselled features, and so there's a direct reference to the statue of David, but I think politically within the sport sometimes he's been seen in isolation, so as that isolated figure I felt that was perfect. And then with Ross and Jean, I took Albrecht Dürer's apostles, and it's more the relationship rather than a physical likeness. It's the dynamic between them that I've then married together with these 2 images, and I've made them quite long and thin to echo the shape of the original. Juan Pablo Montoya was fantastic because he's the only one that I'm transcribing as a woman. So, but I'm not painting him as a woman. I'm doing him as the Venus Verbena because I'm playing on that erotic appeal that comes across in the media, and he's very popular with the ladies as well. So I've got quite a few photos initially where he was a little bit sort of reserved, and then suddenly it was literally just like switching a light bulb on. And of all the references, his is almost exactly the same as the facial expression of the Venus. As soon as I started photographing Jenson, again, it was a bit like Montoya, just the sparkle comes in the eye. And he's very modelly. In that sense, it was a bit like a fashion shoot, because as Gainsborough's Blue Boy, I wanted him to be... I've made it more of a headshot of Gainsborough's Blue Boy. So he was very easy, in a subtle way, to just sort of give you those kind of looks. It's such a fantastic opportunity, and I'm very lucky. I've worked very hard and will continue to work very hard on this long hours, so in a way I do feel like I've put the effort in, but it's a weekend and I'll enjoy it for what it is, and then get back to more painting. So
the old masters, Brundle and Blundell, were in there somewhere, weren't they? The question is coming right up. Don't forget you can email us on paddock@itv-f1.com. The website will inform and entertain. That's itv.com/F1. Ted's in the chair on Ask the Team. And now here is that question after we've met the winners of our Spanish Grand Prix competition.
2 weeks ago in Barcelona, we asked you a simple question. Who was the last British winner of the Monaco Grand Prix? Well, Joe Lumley here knew that the answer is...
David Coulthard.
And knowing that has won you a trip down to Monaco for the Grand Prix. Have you been having a good time?
Been fabulous. Since we were out, been treated like royalty. Steinmates, our sponsor, fantastic. Great weekend. Thanks very much indeed.
Oh, well done. And now to this week's unique competition. We saw some of portrait artist Jill Bradley's fantastic paintings earlier. Well, just like these famous faces, you could attend your very own photo shoot with Jill and have your portrait painted. You just need to answer this very simple question. With which team did Jarno Trulli win the Monaco Grand Prix? Was it A, Ferrari, B, Renault, or C, McLaren? To enter by phone, call 0901 293 2020 or text F1 followed by your answer, A, B or C, to 63337. Calls cost £1 per entry, mobile rates vary, and text will cost £1 plus the standard network rate. The competition closes at midday on Thursday, the 26th of May.
Thanks, Lou. No matter what happens this week, this afternoon, Fernando Alonso will still be the World Championship leader as we embark on a frantic burst of activity. 8 races over the next 10 weeks. Now, last weekend, as part of Renault's campaign to take F1 closer to the fans, the 23-year-old Spaniard was in Istanbul, and we will all be there for the first Turkish Grand Prix. That's at the end of August.
Turned Spain onto the sport like never before. Now Fernando Alonso is getting a whole new audience fired up for Formula One.
Always very special, all these road shows that Renault is doing around the world. I think are very impressive for the people. Okay, we are not doing the maximum speed or maximum push in the corners. We are very slow and very safe. But anyway, the feeling and the atmosphere in the city is completely different, and it looks like that Formula One is even quicker here than in a circuit.
We've been to a few new places in recent years, obviously China and Bahrain last year, Turkey this year. How do you think they compare to the more traditional European events?
They are very, very different. First point, I think, is the safety improves a lot in the new circuits. They build a very huge circuits with huge facilities, and this is good for the drivers because all the corners are very safe. The good challenge of the new circuits is that you never test in these countries, and when you arrive in the race, it's all new, and it's a big challenge for the drivers and the engineers.
Fernando, how did you enjoy your home Grand Prix? I loved it because of the atmosphere, like you mentioned. I mean, Spain really has got passion about Formula One, which is basically down to you. That must be quite gratifying.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, and I'm very proud to see all that people with the blue caps and supporting the team and supporting me. I'm surprised because I feel like one of them. I don't feel like a hero, like they see me probably, and it's quite surprising for me and my family as well to see all that people.
Did you manage to get some time off whilst you were in Spain to see your family and friends?
No, not yet. I was in England working with the team a little bit, preparing the 2 Grand Prix, Monaco and Nürburgring, and I had no time. My father and mother, my parents were in Oxford as well, but not the friends.
And your dog?
My dog was in Spain. Not possible to see him.
Where did you get? I was so intrigued to hear about it. Tell us about your dog.
Well, I always playing with my mother because she doesn't like to have a dog at home, and I always push him to have. And one day I arrived with a dog, and had 2 or 3 days with no. My mother was not talking to me, but now she loves.
Not any kind of dog, though.
No, it's a Chihuahua.
Cold.
Very, very small. It's Hannibal.
Imola was a fantastic result. It's always great to win a race, but it must be particularly gratifying when you're beating a multiple world champion.
All the other victories I did Michael was not even in the podium. It was retirement or very far behind. And I think winning a race with Michael in second is more grateful.
Do you think this is your year? I mean, you're the youngest ever race winner. Do you think you could become the youngest ever world champion?
I don't know. I only want to become world champion. It doesn't matter if it's the youngest or the oldest. I want to win.
Touch of the Hannibal lectures about the way he's been gobbling up the points. 44 points out of 50 so far for Fernando Alonso. He leads the World Championship by 18. Let's go down on the grid. And Ted's got an old maestro with him down there.
Indeed, Jim. And Murray, lovely to see you. All the fans on the rock behind us. I just wanted to ask you about Jenson. I mean, BAR kicked out for what's at best a dodgy interpretation of the rules. Do you think that's too harsh?
I'm very, very sorry for Jenson, Ted. I'm very sorry for the fans. I'm very sorry for BAR. I think it was marginal, personally, but if the governing body feels it's got to put its foot down, I suppose it has to do it. But one thing you can be sure of is it's not going to happen again.
Just saw Alonso in Turkey. Do you think he's our next world champion?
Oh, without a doubt. And what's more, Ted, he's my tip for the today. I think the Renaults are going to get a better start than the McLaren. I think Raikkonen will be second. I think Fisichella will be third. It's fantastic to be back in Monaco. And I told Martin Brundle to remember when Jenson is in the box with him that that's how Martin got his job.
It's great to hear and see you again, Murray. Thanks very much. Back to you, Jim.
They're all going to be looking at their shoulders at Jenson. I think he might have 1 or 2 more driving years ahead of him, though. Well, Fernando Alonso, what a heavy burden he's carrying. Murray Walker's tip, and that'll probably put him in the wall at the first corner, won't it? But he's been on the podium for every race so far. So far, he's never been on the podium here in Monaco. In fact, Alonso's exit last year was part of an absolutely thrilling Monaco Grand Prix.
Great start by both of the Renaults, and Button's fighting a rearguard action. Once again, the Renaults electric on the start line. Look at Sartre around the outside, and Raikkonen as well. Schumacher's lost ground.
They're going to be looking at that smoke of Sato, hoping he expires soon, but is it just an overfill of oil, or does he have the beginning of a serious gremlin there?
And that's the answer. The Honda engine lets go of Takuma Sato. Oh, we've got a crash, a big one.
Fisichella, there he goes, right over the back of a McLaren of Coulthard. Fisichella just didn't slow down.
I couldn't stop my car, and I went over.
I remember going up and watching it from the practice perch and thinking, you know, how I'd missed out and having a lot of fun that day.
Enjoy this stage of the Grand Prix. A master at work. These are brilliant laps that Michael Schumacher's putting in.
You can never, ever count out Michael Schumacher. And this Grand Prix is shaping up to be an absolute classic.
Alonso's dropped it on the exit of the tunnel. So he's had his accident in the middle of the tunnel, lapping the Williams. Look, he's having his accident and still giving the Williams driver the bird.
It was normal to do it, and you know, I hope not have the same thing again this year.
Hang on, this is Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher has had an incident in the tunnel, has hit the wall and has knocked off his left front wheel, and Michael Schumacher is out of the Monaco Grand Prix.
Quite honestly, I don't think I have to make up something. I just have to see that he maybe struggles with his shoulder and may cannot drive or something like that. I don't know.
You know, myself, I don't care.
No, your eyes do not deceive you. Truly is leading. Button is second.
This is fantastic stuff. And this is Grand Prix racing at its absolute finest on a beautiful sunny day in Monte Carlo. An Englishman is chasing an Italian for their first Grand Prix victory. And Jarno Trulli is going to win his first ever Formula One Grand Prix and in the end Button was just 4/10 of a second behind him.
Actually, it was the best day of my career, so I was very happy to win my first Grand Prix here in Monaco.
His first, his only Grand Prix victory to date. The distinctive bald head of Zinedine Zidane. Zizou is here enjoying himself. And there's big Goran Ivanisevic, the man who beat Pat Rafter in that Monday final at Wimbledon. Here the cars are warming up right behind me, and Bernie Eccleston with Roberto Carlos. Real Madrid fullback. The Madrid players here in force, it would seem. Let's have a little word with Mark Blundell about what we've just seen. And the tunnel, Mark. I mean, mayhem in the tunnel last year. How do the drivers approach it? Just a bit of tarmac, or are they a bit cautious, a bit wary of it?
No, it's just a normal piece of track, to be honest with you, Jim. But the problem you've got there is you're coming from daylight to darkness to daylight in a couple of seconds at 185 miles an hour. And there's no option. There's one line through there. If you come across somebody limping, you're going to have an accident. It's a big problem.
Offline on those marbles, your history there, aren't you?
Very much so, and that is one of the issues that will go into this race now. You start to get that marble, that rubber, what starts collecting on offline. If you get on that, you've got no way of getting back online without some problems.
Thank you, Mark. Everything so far suggesting Monaco 2005 will be another blockbusting epic. This fella coming up is an expert in that field. It's the Star Wars director, and we will feel the force when we return.
Hi, this is George Lucas. May the G-Force be with you.
The unique Red Bull floating motorhome and race cars are running in customised Star Wars livery here in Monaco. A host of familiar characters invaded the pit lane to promote The Revenge of the Sith, the final Star Wars film, which premiered at the nearby Cannes Film Festival this week.
I've just always been a fan. Some people like horse racing, some people, like stock car racing, but I like Formula One racing.
Any plans to make a film about motor racing?
No. It's more fun to watch.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
I'm going to see the race, which is great. And it's Star Wars, Red Bull, and David Coulthard, who's a fellow Scot. So I've got so many reasons to be cheering, and I'll be there.
Have you seen the Star Wars films?
I'd be fibbing if I said I had. I've obviously seen bits of them, but I've never really been, Star Wars fan as such. Although I think that Princess Leila's got a lot going for her.
I feel so helpless.
Coulthard's a good driver. He's very, very good here on this track. He's actually almost tall enough to be a Wookiee. And now he's powered by the dark side, so you're going to see a lot of the other cars sort of doing what Montoya and Schumacher did last year.
From the pit lane to the red carpet, and the VIP guests are now arriving for the special screening of the film, including one of its stars, Hayden Christensen, who I understand is a bit of a racing fan. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I like fast cars, and this is my first time to a Formula One race, so it's exciting for me, definitely.
Ever fancied having a go in one yourself?
I would love to. We could inquire about that one. I don't know. Maybe in a year's time or so.
I remember seeing the first one when I was a little girl. We queued up to see Grease and we couldn't get in, so we went to see Star Wars instead. So yeah, but I did really touristy things like have my picture taken with a Star Trooper and things today. Stormtrooper, oh God.
The first two of the last 6 of the 9 of the 4 of the 3, whatever number they weren't quite getting us emotionally, and the story was getting a bit. And apparently this story, and it goes a place, and then he gets all the helmet and the stuff and learns to talk into bottles. Darth Vader. Darth Vader does bottle talking. You know that though? That's if you get a bottle, you can do it.
A man who's definitely no stranger to the red carpet. What do you think of this event?
Well, it's rather splendid. I live right opposite, and I'm looking at all these flames going up. I think, my God, the place is blown up. We don't have to go.
You thought there must be something going on down there?
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
No surprises as to who you're cheering for, I guess?
No, obviously. Come on the dark side.
Wonderful explanation of the Star Wars phenomenon from Eddie Izzard in that piece with Louise Goodman just under 20 minutes ago to the start of the Monaco Grand Prix. Jenson Button will be with us in the ITV F1 commentary box when he shifts up there from the grid that looks absolutely jam-packed. Tony, let's talk a little bit about the start of the race. It is always absolutely crucial. Alonso's Renault versus the McLaren Mercedes of Kimi Räikkönen heading for that first corner, Sainte Devote. How do you see it?
Well, first of all, Sainte Devote has a big funnel effect. It's a very difficult corner to negotiate, and it's just a question of the dirty side, the clean side, and how much traction you can get there. What I would remind people is that Coulthard managed to get ahead of Juan Pablo Montoya and get through to the lead in 2002 off the line. So it can be done.
Let's go down to the zoo and join Martin.
Hello. Let me show you what they're just talking about the start. We're talking about the pit straight. It's not straight at all, look. It's a massive kink and curve in it, but it's going to be all about the drag race down there between Alonso and Räikkönen down to the first corner, because I'm pretty sure they're on different fuel strategies. Räikkönen then on the pole, inside line. It's a new piece of tarmac, so it's got quite a lot of grip all the way across. He's not up to talking to us, which 10% of me says grumpy little sod, 90% of me says I really don't blame. Oh, hang on, we've got trolley. The mechanics just can't work down there. It's incredible. Alonso cruised on the grid a minute ago. Nobody noticed him. Everybody's so busy profiling down here, they failed to notice Alonso cruising on. Let me see if I can get a quick word with him and see if we can drag him across. And he's looking dead cool there, having his photograph taken with a pretty girl. So he's not going to want to talk to me exactly, is he? But hang on, Fernando. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it feels okay. I think the car is working very well with fuel, so we have an opportunity. I think in this race it will be difficult, but we go for it.
How important is it? We're talking to our public about the drag race down to the first corner. I mean, is that everything in your mind at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment, everything is the start. And then after the positions we get in the first corner, you start to think in the strategy and the possibilities to overtake Räikkönen possibly.
And do you rely totally on the team to work that out, or will you play a part in that?
Well, yesterday we had a few discussions, and I think we all agree in our strategy, and we are all confident about it. So we have to see and wait and see what the others are doing as well.
Last 20 laps, you think the rear tyres are going to be gone away in the last 20?
Will be very difficult for the rear tyres this race. So also there is a way to conserve the tyre a little bit, and hopefully we can have less problems than the others, and like this you don't do any mistakes, which is also a problem here in Monaco.
Thanks for talking to us. Bye. Let's see who else we can find on this grid. Loads and loads of people about. Mick Doohan here, 5 times 500cc bike champion. He's, like all of them, he had a lot of crashes. He's a bag of bits, really, but he doesn't look too bad on it. You're 40, aren't you, coming up, surely?
Very close, yeah. You can tell me what it's like, Martin.
Yeah, I know too well for some time now. What's you feeling today? Who you up for today?
Well, the McLaren's looking pretty good, isn't it? Kimi's going well yesterday and today, so this place here, being out in front's the best place to be. So, but it is a long race. It's very tight, twisty. Anything can happen. So, not being a Formula One man, I'll leave all the predictions up to you.
Top man. We'll catch you later on. Let's move down the grid. See who's about. Mark Webber here in an excellent 3rd place. Patrick, is your man going to get the job done today?
Well, I hope so, and he's been going very well in practice, and we're certainly hoping for a good race. We need a good start, though.
All right, he's standing just behind, but I'm loath to talk to him because every time I talk to him, he has a bad race, but just one word.
Well, like Patrick said, it's been going well so far. I think we're in reasonable shape. Renaults and McLarens are strong, but there's a lot of different compounds out there, even within the Michelin range, so interesting race.
What do you think, Mark, sitting on the grid with all of these punters on the grid? What goes through your mind? Like, what are they doing? Oh, get them out of the way, or do you not mind?
It's Monaco, isn't it? It comes with the territory. Just tunnel vision.
Right. Sir Jackie Stewart. Jackie, you okay?
Yeah, great. Just won a podium for Mark
my grandson's birthday today, so that's his birthday present, Mark on a podium.
Okay, I'm pleased you got that in. I'll see you later. This is incredible. Look, the photographers are fighting each other to get a shot of, I can't even see. Oh, there's a load of drivers up there on the podium. Right, they're getting up there ready for the minute silence of Prince Rainier. You should be up in the commentary box.
Should I?
Yeah.
Whoops.
Do you know where it is?
I haven't got a clue.
Well, I will see you up there in a minute. Yeah.
Which way are we going? That way?
Yeah, go that way a bit. And if you get wet, you've gone too far. All right, see you later. We've got a limited amount of time. How good, and you?
Yeah, very good.
Peter Hain, and good to see you. And what's going on today? What's the purpose of being here today?
Well, just to come and support the sport, which I've done since I was a boy.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And this Monaco, which they bring everything in, then they put it in storage.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Okay.
Good race.
Good to see you. I think we've got to get out of here. It's time for what they're going to do to remember Prince Rainier.
Thank you, Martin. Yes, minute silence for Prince Rainier, who died last month, and since he presented the first trophy to Fangio back in 1950, Prince Rainier had only missed one Grand Prix when he was unwell a couple of years ago. Prince Albert carrying out the duties today. His Serene Highness Prince Rainier, the man who made Monaco magical.
Merci à tous pour le prince.
The moment victory is secured, the quest for the next success begins. Always looking to improve for tomorrow helps us deliver the best tires, both to the circuit and to you. We'll be there for you.
Bridgestone.
Jenson Button on his way to the ITV F1 commentary box. The race due off just over 5 minutes' time. Get a move on, Jenson. Final thoughts, Tony Jardine.
Well, when all the clutter is cleared off the grid, Jim, these drivers are going for one of the three biggest prizes in motor racing. There's the Indianapolis 500, there's Le Mans 24 Hours, and this, the Monte Carlo Grand Prix. It's a glittering prize.
Mark Blundell?
Any of these drivers on the grid would love to be the winner of this Grand Prix come the end of the day, and I should imagine Jenson is really feeling it now. But maybe he'll get on well with Martin and James.
We shall see. We have Star Wars round the streets of Monte Carlo. The modern Mr. Monaco, Michael Schumacher, has been pushed to the dark side down the grid. It's the new generation, Raikkonen and Alonso, who are up front, battling for the Grand Prix victory the drivers all cherish. Wonderful scenes here, as always. Fisichella is a tough street fighter. Webber has been absolutely superb in qualifying. Coulthard has hit the winning jackpot twice. 18 start, but a very unlikely to finish the Monaco Grand Prix.